Hey everyone, it's Delta Shiny Zeta here, bringing you a very special Yu-Gi-Oh video. So, obviously a lot of you are probably already familiar with Tier Maker. A lot of different content creators are using this for different reasons. But I actually thought, you know what? Why don't I actually go ahead and rank every single Yu-Gi-Oh card? Now, it's not going to be every Yu-Gi-Oh card in one video. That'd be ridiculous. There's over 10,000 cards, people. Over 10,000 cards. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is categorizing them by every single booster pack. Every single main core booster pack. I might do other types of booster packs or other products released, but we're starting off in the very beginning in March 2002, Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon. So this video is me ranking every single card in Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon. In case you don't know, like I said, it was the first set, the first main set, really the first set in general, ever to be released for the TCG, and there are 126 total cards, and I went ahead and put them all here on Tier Maker so we can get this started. So, let's begin. We're just going to go in order. The way I'm going to be ranking these really has to do with a lot of things, just overall in general, from at the time, how that card maybe got modernized a bit and how, relevant it was in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And so on and so forth. There is a lot of different things. It'll be a little complicated for some cards, but we should be able to do this. So let's begin. Alright, we're starting off from the very beginning, Skull Red Bird. Now here's the thing, obviously the card is garbage nowadays. Even a couple sets after Legend of Blue Eyes, it was already bad. But it's really iconic just because it is the highest stat level 4 monster in Legend of Blue Eyes. I'm not going to say it's S tier, like it's completely broken or anything, it's not. But this card does get an award for being the highest star monster. If you do some kind of duel with this Legend of Blue Eyes packs between one another, you're going to see this is the beat stick to go to. It's the beatdown card. So yeah. Moving on to Goblin Secret Remedy, one of the most garbage cards ever created. It basically heals you, gives you a couple life points. It's a little bit better than another card that we'll get into in just a little bit. But it's still downright awful. It's terrible. Moving on to Raigeki, obviously a very iconic card. Destroys all monsters your opponent controls. I'm going to give that an S tier. It is really that great of a card. Next up is Giant Soldier of Stone. Giant Soldier of Stone, I'm also going to give this one an A tier because it's the highest attack stat monster with 2000 defense. There are several cards here in this set that have 2000 defense, but they don't compare to Giant Soldier of Stone being at 1300 attack. It's also a level 3 monster, so like in later sets, it could technically bypass Gravity Bind. Not that that really matters, but that's like a little fun fact there. Dragon Treasure. Okay. Dragon Treasure is, alongside the other equip cards, a little interesting because it as a card is garbage, right? It's 300 bonus attack just to a dragon type. So all these normally would be like down in D or E tier. Maybe a lot of them are going to be in E tier, but Dragon Treasure alongside a couple others are probably going to be D because it is a dragon, and dragons are one of the most popular types. Even back then, there was a lot of good dragons within this set, within a couple sets after this, so I think it's a little bit better than most other equip cards. Mystical Elf is the next one. So this is one that I was saying that, it's a good card in Legend of Blue Eyes standards at least. It's a 2000 defense monster. It's actually a super rare, and Giant Soldier of Stone was a rare, which is weird because Giant Soldier of Stone technically is better. Aside from maybe its typing, Spellcaster was a little bit more viable than Rock, but whatever. But that's going to be a B tier just for being a card that it's really hard for the opponent to get, past back in these days. Violet Crystal is the Dragon Treasure equivalent. Equip card, 300 attack. However, it's an E tier. It's zombies. Does it really apply to anything useful? Not really. Kagemusha of the Blue Flame. Alright, so this is where we're going to get to the fun stuff. Oh my gosh, I should mention this, but Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon is known for having 90% garbage cards. Most of them are just useless vanillas. Terrible even when the set was released. It'll have to go down here. I mean, if it's less than 1000 attack around there, it's going to be a garbage card overall. It's an E tier. Silver Bow and Arrow. This is the same as Dragon Treasure and Violet Crystal, except it's for fairies. Gives 300 attack to a fairy type. That's another E tier. No fairies were relevant back then. So yeah. Drooling Lizard, another really bad one. A little bit better than Kagemusha with 100 more attack, but it's still going to the E tier. Okay. Fusionist is the first fusion monster that we are getting on this list here. So with this card and a couple of other fusions, I know I'm going to get comments about this like, hey, actually they're viable targets for instant fusion. Yes, but would you really choose Fusionist? I don't think so. I don't think you would choose Fusionist. You would probably choose a couple others. I'm gonna give this an E tier. It's just that bad. Armored Starfish. It has 1400 defense, 850 attack. It at least has a little bit of a higher defense than the other garbage cards we're gonna see here. But I don't think 1400 is just enough. I don't think so. So I'm gonna keep it down here. Urabi. People pronounce this card differently all the time. This one I'm going to give it to B tier. It's a little bit weaker than Skull Red Bird, only by 50, but it is the second highest attack monster here in this set, so I think it's deserving of a B tier. Next up is Darkfire Dragon. It's a level 4. This one did actually see some instant fusion use occasionally. This alongside a couple other level 4s. I'll put it at D tier only because of that, but nobody was ever fusing this card with polymerization, and if you were, achievement unlocked for you, seriously, because that's ridiculous. Fury Seeking, garbage, right? It's an 800 attack monster, vanilla. That's not going to work for us. Hard Armor, same thing. It does have 1200 defense, but the fact that I put Armor Starfish here with better stats means I have to put Hard Armor here too. Like, it's just that simple. Next up is Umi. Okay, so Umi alongside other field spells are also kind of interesting when it comes to Legend of Blue Eyes because, you know, if we were to just look at the cards, you know, just reading the effect, obviously would be like, this is garbage, right? And yeah, I would want to put them down here, but the thing is, they did see a little bit of viability, very little bit. Sometimes it gave you that little boost to attack over an opponent's monster. So they're not downright terrible, I guess. They're just kind of terrible. Green Phantom King. This one I'm going to put into D, mainly because it has 1600 defense. Not that that really matters. I really want to put it down here. It's somewhere like in the middle of D and E, but I'll just go ahead and put it in D. It's at least some defense, better than both Armored Starfish and Hard Armor. Next up is Wasteland. This one is just like Umi, except this one busts up with dinosaurs, machines, rocks, and zombies. This one I didn't mention this, but it's basically fish, aqua, and sea serpent. So, oh, and thunder as well, and it downgrades machines. So, polymerization. Well, this one's a bit of a tricky one because, like, polymerization is a card that still sees play today, but only in decks that don't already have their own fusion card. Because most, you know, archetype-specific fusion cards are just downright better polymerizations. So I want to put it somewhere here, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like that card has ever been historically good. In fact, it's been a necessity if you want to play certain fusion monsters and, you know, fusion summon that way. So I'll just go to put it in C tier. Machine Conversion Factory. This one's for machines. I'm going to place it over here. Not as viable as Dragon Treasure, I would say. Next up is Curse of Dragon. Curse of Dragon is also kind of interesting because I believe it's the highest stat monster in this set that requires 1 tribute. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but we'll see down the list. So if that's the case, it might even be as high as a B tier. Because, you know, if you want to tribute summon a monster, the most deadly 1 tribute monster is Curse of Dragon in this set. So, you know what? I'll just place it there, but we'll see. Alright, Fiend Reflection. Oh my gosh. 1100 attack, 1400 defense, and it's a winged beast too. Technically speaking, it has some synergy with Skull Red Bird if you know, if you run Mountain, I guess. It also benefits Fiend Reflection 1, but I'm going to place it in D tier because it has at least not terrible stats, let's just say, okay? Steel Ogre Grotto. Okay, so 1400 attack, 1800 defense, 5-star monster. Yeah, that's not going to work for us. That's just... If that was... Here's the funny thing. If this was actually a level 4 monster, it would still not be as good as Skull Red Bird. I mean, it has a little more defense than Skull Red Bird, but it would probably be like around here if it was a 4-star. But it's going down in E. Skull Servant. Okay. If Skull Servant never got archetype support, it would obviously be an E tier. One of the worst stats ever, right? But it did actually become a pretty interesting archetype. It doesn't deserve E for sure. Probably somewhere around here, but it did get a lot of... Okay, if you don't know about the white archetype, white/Skull Servant archetype, look it up. It's kind of interesting. When cards were being released for, you know, initially for the Skull Servant archetype, you might be surprised that it saw some crazy King of Skull Servants, you know, OTK. It wasn't consistent or meta or anything, but it was kind of fun. I'm going to put it at C tier because it does actually have a lot of support. Okay. Beaver Warrior now. So This one is also probably going to be D. Its stats are 100 points higher in both attack and defense than Fiend Reflection 1. It deserves the D tier, I would say. 13th Grave. Oh my gosh. Well, it's either going to be D or E. I mean, it has to be in D. It's making me consider putting Beaver Warrior up to C, but I'm not entirely sure yet if I should move it up there. Okay, we have, what is it? One-Eyed Shield Dragon. 700 attack, 1300 defense. No, I mean, it's worse than Armored Starfish. Reaper of the Cards is getting an E tier as well. I mean, yeah, it has more defense than this thing, but, I mean, seriously? Come on. And it has an effect. It can actually destroy a trap card. Wow. Take that, trap holes. No, it's still not worth it. There's no way I can put that in D. Nobody was playing it. Nobody was playing it for me to actually put it into D. There's no way. Miyazaru Uzame is just strictly worse. 1400 attack, 1600 defense for a 5-star monster. Okay, next up is Exodia. Somewhere up here, I don't think it deserves S because as iconic and, you know, crazy some of the decks have been, like Exodia FTK and stuff, at least at the time, you know, I'm trying to take everything into consideration at the time and then going forward. I'll put it in A because to be fair, there has been a handful of Exodia meta decks, Exodia FTKs, as, you know, as crazy as how boring it is to duel against Exodia decks because all they do is draw like 5,000 cards on their turn. Oh my gosh, it's technically a good deck. I can't deny that, right? Flame Manipulator, yeah, sorry, that's 900 attack, 1000 defense. Not gonna work. Monster Egg is even worse. 600 attack, 900 defense. Witty Phantom, somewhere around here, I think it's the third highest stat monster. Level 4 monster after Skull Redbird and Urabi, so I think, oh gosh, that's a tough one, but I guess I'll go ahead and put it in C tier, maybe. Mystical Moon is an equip card for Beast Monsters, so I'm just going to put it down here in E as well. Turtle Tiger. So Turtle Tiger, similar to Fiend Reflection here, except 100 less attack, but 100 more defense. I will put it here in D tier because it has not terrible stats, I guess, at the time for Legend of Blue Eyes. Kerubin to Fire Knight. I'm also going to put it down here. It's a 1100 attack fusion monster. Yeah, that's not going to work. Electro Whip is for Thunder monsters. I'm also going to put it down here. Petite Angel, outright terrible. 600 attack, 900 defense for a fairy. That's not going to work. Red Medicine deserves F tier, seriously. What is that? Gain 500 life points to go -1? Wow. Root Water, 900 attack. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you people. I'm telling you all, they're just that bad, seriously. Okay, Trihorn Dragon. So this one is 2850. It is technically outclassed by Blue Eyes White Dragon, which we haven't gotten to yet, because it has 150 less attack and it's a 2 tribute monster. Blue Eyes also has a lot more support than Trihorn Dragon. This card does not have any support. I'm going to put it in D tier because as cool as it was to pull a secret rare, you know, let's just be honest with viability in terms of, you know, playing it. It didn't see play. It did not see play. Next up is Vile Germs. That's for plants. 300 attack. Enough said. Mammoth Graveyard, 1200. Well, you know, I'm putting these in D tier because they have more than 1,000 attack, so I think it makes a little sense that, you know, if you did pull, like if you were doing some kind of, like the progression series, for example, when you started with Legend of Blue Eyes, obviously you would put Mammoth Graveyard over any of this garbage down here, you know, because it at least has not terrible stats. Dissolve Rock, 900 attack, 1,000 defense. I'm putting it down here. Trap Hole's interesting. This one, it may have to be as high as A tier. If I'm putting cards like these up in A tier for their, you know, when comparing it to Legend of Blue Eyes, how iconic and good they were in Legend of Blue Eyes specifically, Trap Hole deserves A tier. I'm just going to be honest. Dark Roll Thorns deserves D tier as well. Pretty identical stats to Mammoth Graveyard. We got to move down a little bit here. Okay, Masaki. This one's cutting it close. 1100 attack. I'll just put you right there. You're lucky, Masaki. I was thinking of putting you in E tier, but wow. Okay, Exodia pieces. I mean, if I'm putting Exodia in A tier, it has to be alongside its 4 limbs, right? It has to be. Tripwire Beast is also getting a D tier just because, you know, it actually has 1200 attack, 1300 defense. Flame Swordsman. I'll put it in D tier as well. Just because in 5-star, it saw some instant fusion use, but that's kind of it, you know? Beast Fangs. I'm gonna go ahead and put Beast Fangs right Yeah, I'll go ahead. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, this was Beast. This one is not Beast. What was I talking about? This is for Beast. Beast Fangs. Okay, but that's gonna go there. Hinotama. I mean, really? It inflicts life point damage. What, 500? Okay. Dark Energy. This is for Fiend. So here's the thing. I think this one actually deserves D. If I'm putting Dragon Treasure here, then this one deserves to be there because there were actually a lot of Fiends even back in the day, you know? So I think it makes sense to put it a little bit higher if I'm putting Dragon Treasure there. Dark Magician is next on the list. Now, Dark Magician... Ooh, okay, this one's tough. If we're judging just in Legend of Blue Eyes standards, it would obviously be an E tier, right? Duh. 2 tribute monster, 2500 attack. Seriously? No. I mean, over the years, it got a lot of support. I'm not judging this based on any of its iconic, sense in the anime and being a card that Yugi played. That has nothing to do with this. It's more so about the support it eventually got. And as a card in general, it would be bumped up to like probably C tier, I would say. Somewhere around there. Maybe D to C, but yeah, let's just go with that. Dragon Capture Jar. It's an anti-dragon card, and as crazy as, some dragons were even back then, it's a bad counter for dragons, let's just say. Okay? Let's just go with that. Alright, next up is Mountain. So Mountain, oh my gosh. I think Mountain was probably the best field spell. Either that or Sojin. But I don't know. I'm going to put it in C. Partially because of the dragons, but also because of things like Skull Red Bird. I mean, if this was your beat stake and you've also got a Mountain and doing a draft or something, you would play Mountain to buff this up to a 1750 beat stake, right? That makes sense. Raised Body Heat is for dinosaurs. I'd probably put it over here. I was thinking of putting it to D because of Urabi, but I mean, really, it's just one card. Other cards had more, or other types, I should say, had more cards like Dark Energy and this kind of stuff. So let's go with that. Remove Trap. Very situational usefulness. The funny thing is that in Legend of Blue Eyes, Remove Trap only worked on one card. There were only 3 traps in Legend of Blue Eyes, which were Trap Hole, 2-pronged attack, and Dragon Capture Jar. That was it. More traps were introduced in the starter deck Kaiba and Yuki sets, but in Legend of Blue Eyes, because Trap Hole and 2-pronged attack are regular traps, you can't use Remove Trap to destroy those because it has to destroy a face up. It only worked on Dragon Capture Jar. I'm going to put it in E tier. Dark Hole. I think Dark Hole is going to get A tier. It's not as good as Raigeki. Nowadays, Raigeki's still limited. Dark Hole is now unlimited. So it just kind of shows you, right? Armail, sorry, but you're getting the E tier as well. Just a bunch of garbage in this set, right? Firegrass, same thing. This one at least has 1300 defense. This one, 700 attack, 600 defense. Dark King of the Abyss, to take your D tier. 1200 attack, yeah. Carbonella Warriors also getting a D tier. A little bit of instant, fusion use eventually, so there's that. Maneater Bug, you're getting A tier. Maneater Bug was one of the deadliest cards back in the day, one of the deadliest monsters. It was really that serious. Pot of Greed, I don't really know what this card does, but I think it deserves S. I'm just gonna guess. No, it deserves E. I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's S. I mean, come on, it's the most one of the most broken cards ever printed. Succubus Knight. I guess you deserve D tier. To be fair, I think it's the second highest 1 tribute monster in Legend of Blue Eyes after Curse of Dragon. I believe that's the case. We'll see. I mean, we've seen other garbage like Steel Ogre Grotto and Mizaruzame and Reaper of the Cards, but this one's at least a little bit better. It has 1650 attack, so it also beats Skull Red Bird. So, whatever, right? Lesser Dragon, 1200. You deserve that. Sure, that's fine. Kumutoko, 700 attack, 1400 defense. Still not going to cut it. M Warrior 1, you're at 1000. I'm not going to put you in D tier for being 1000. I'm sorry, but you're coming down here. I barely thought about putting Masaki. And I'm still considering you, Masaki. My god, 1200 seems like the minimum, except if it has a lot more defense, like this thing, That's a 1500 defense. Two Mouth Dark Ruler. Also E tier. I gotta scroll down. We're gonna go past Raigeki and Pot of Greed right now. We're gonna hide them a little bit. This one's also getting E tier because it's a level 3. The level 3s are not nearly as useful for instant fusion in most cases, eventually, So we'll put that there. Yami. See, Yami would probably be only because of the existence of Fiends, but... Well, Fiends and Spellcasters. I don't know. I'll give it a C tier. I'll give it a C. I don't feel too good about that, but it might... probably just was just a D, I don't know. Legendary Sword gets a D. Legendary Sword alongside Dragon Treasure and Dark Energy were the three most used types, I would say. Warriors, Fiends, and Dragons. Stop Defense was actually pretty useful, pretty interesting. There were a lot more high defense monsters and high attack monsters in the set, so you didn't really have too many ways to get through cards aside from Dark Hole, Raigeki, and Fissure and stuff like that. So if you didn't have that, Stop Defense was a great alternative. Terra the Terrible is another 1200 attack monster. You belong there. Guy the Fierce Knight, I'm so sorry. I would put you in E because you're even worse than Dark Magician technically. I mean, you are, because the support of Gaia is not as good as the support of Dark Magician. Even with Rise of the Duelist that came out last year, but I'm putting you in D. You deserve D because of your support, okay? You did become an archetype eventually, got some support, some viability, fine, fair enough. Not that anybody would run Gaia in those cards because there's better Gaias now, but you get what I'm saying. Fissure. Fissure, I think, actually deserves A. We're going to put it up here in the A tier list. It was that good of a card. Not as good as Dark Lord Raigeki, obviously, but it was, you know, pretty damn good removal. Guy the Dragon Champion. Oh gosh, I actually have to put this here. Now, let me explain. I know what you're going to say. What? A secret rare is going over here? Yes, a secret rare is going over there. I will just start by saying that even though it has more stats than all the other fusions in the set, it didn't see as much play as Darkfire Dragon or Carbonella Warrior because this thing is not an eligible target for Instant Fusion nor Magical Scientist, which came out later on in Magician's Force. So, if it's not a target for both Instant Fusion and Magical Scientist and it's vanilla, it deserves an E tier because nobody was ever going -2 to summon a Beatstick, seriously. Dragonist Awakened Knight, another 1200 garbage fusion monster. Hain is not as good as Maneater Bug, but it was one of your quote-unquote removal. Not really removal because you know it's bouncing the card, but you know it was good. It was solid for that set and probably the next set, and then that was it. Okay, so now we have our Exodia pieces that are going to be going over here. All those are going to be going that way. Fire Yaru's D tier, 1300 attack. I guess that's not terrible. Swords of Revealing Light. I'm going to put that in B tier. It was not as good as the other stables, like, you know, what's up here, but it was a great card in that way. Now, for Legend of Blue Light specifically, it was actually really damn good because there was no removal almost. The only card was Arm Ninja, I think. But starting from even as early as the, you know, starter decks, it quickly lost its shine and went down to, I would say, probably B. Tyhone. This one is going to go into D as well. I don't need to talk too much about that. Sandstone is one of the worst freaking tree monsters ever. 1300 attack, 1600 defense, 5-star monster. Final Flame, you're going to deserve a B tier. I mean, come on. It's a little bit better than Hinotama, but it's not saying much. Red Eyes Black Dragon, oh boy. I'm going to put you over here. Again, it would be an E tier if we're just judging it based on Legend of Blue Eyes, but it did become into an archetype. Many people say it's probably not as good as the Dark Magician archetype, but I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'll put you right there. Petite Dragon is garbage, 600 attack, 700 defense. Chanting Mermaid, you'll go there, sure. Sparks. For the memes, it's got to go into D, right? It's got to go into D. I'll put it in D, but we all know it belongs in E. I'm putting it here for just the memes, okay? Hitatsumi Giant, sure. Put you right there. Metabat. By this point, we kind of get it, right? Laser Cannon Armor, that's for insect monsters. Power of Kaijin, that's for aqua monsters. Child of Nightmare, 1300 attack. Exodia pieces, there's actually 2 that are coming up. But Spirit of the Harp, if I'm putting Mystical Elf here, Spirit of the Harp deserves its spot. 2 identical stats, 800, 2000. Another Exodia piece goes here. Gravedigger Goal. I mean, nobody was really... You remove 2 monsters from your opponent's graveyard from play. I mean, it countered Monster Reborn. That's it. No, but even then, people were not playing that shit. There was no way. Okay, Mystical Sheep are putting you there. Monster Reborn definitely deserves S tier. Iconically, it's just been very, very great. You know, it's... I don't know. It definitely has not, you know, fallen in luster compared to other cards that, you know, eventually did fall, which is why they're over here, but that one deserves S. 2-pronged attack, I'm going to put it in D. Some people would say E, it's a -2. You use this card and you tribute 2 of your, or you destroy 2 of your monsters, sorry, to destroy one of your opponents. Horrible, right? It's a -2. But to be fair, it was one of the only pieces of removal outside of the staple stuff that you see up here. And it was a rare, so it was a little bit easier to get. I mean, Visual was a rare too, but, you know. I'm putting it there. King Fog, you're going over here. Rain temperature, and these both are 1000. Oh, Spike Seadra, why do you do this to me? I put Succubus Knight in D. Does this thing really deserve this? You know what? No, you don't, because by this point you're the 3rd best. Nobody's going to be running the 3rd best. Seriously. Aquamador, 1200, 2000. This one is actually very close to Giant Soldier of Stone, but I can't put it at A. I'm putting it in B. Giant Soldier of Stone had 100 more attack than Aquamador, so it just, you know, it makes more sense to do that. Kurama, 800 attack garbage. Sojin, fine. You deserve D. If I'm putting, or sorry, not D. I meant C. I'm so sorry. C. If I'm putting these two there, I'm putting that one there too. Wasteland and Umi were the ones not as good, and Forest was not as good either. I'll put that one in D. Basic Insect, garbage. 500 attack, 700 defense. No. Blue Eyes White Dragon. This one is better than Dark Magician, not only by stats, but also its archetype is better. The Blue Eyes archetype did actually see competitive play and actually won the YCS. Dark Magician did not do that, but it was still a pretty solid archetype. Silver Fang. You go right there. Enough said. Arm Ninja. I'll put you in C because you actually could have responded against some face down trap holes and swords. Fine, you know, it was the only piece of back row removal, so it deserves that spot. Nimoriko, garbage. Celtic Guardian, where did I put Woody Phantom? I don't remember anymore. Oh my god. Wherever Woody Phantom goes is where Celtic Guardian should go, and it goes right here. There we go. Because it's a 1400 attack monster. Next up is Book of Secret Arts for spellcasters. I can't do it, no. I can't put it in D. Dark Ray and Warrior 2. Metal Dragon and Flower Wolf. Metal Dragon, I'm actually going to put it here because it's level 6. It's not a 5. It's not a target for instant fusion. It is for Magical Scientist, but nobody was bringing Metal Dragon out with Magical Scientist. They were bringing out the ones in Metal Raiders, like Roaring Ocean Snake and stuff like that, because they had a couple more stats. They put that one there, and then that one there too, obviously. Garbage, 800 attackers. Flower Wolf deserves D because it's a level 5. So, you know, it's some use. Hinotama Soul, terrible. Follow Wind, fine. I'll put this in D only because of Skull Red Bird. To be fair, summoning Skull Red Bird with this and Follow Wind gives you a 2050 beat stick. That's not bad, and they can break all these 2000 defense monsters if you have that. And then finally, Frenzied Panda gets a D tier. So that's the whole list. As you can see, looking at all the D's and E's, most cards were garbage in this set. Really only everything from over here was remotely playable, and the only reason why you would get cards from D and E is because you needed fillers, right? Like if you do a progression series type of thing, you know, I mean, there's all these on YouTube. Obviously, Simo started the first one, and now people have been building all this. And if you do a Legend of Blue Eyes opening, a booster box, both people, you'll see that you're going to run these cards, aside from maybe Exodia, because that's more gimmicky in Legend of Blue Eyes, but you would run these cards, and then if you run out of, cards to put, you would have to go into D tier, and that's how it would work, basically. So, as a quick recap, 3 really big powerhouses. You could make arguments for cards like Dark Hole and stuff like that, but I didn't put that, even Exodia technically, but I didn't do that. Moving into A, these two get, of course, the title, for highest defense, highest attack, or highest attack and defense combination, and highest attack. Just a bunch of good stuff in here, solid stuff. Curse of Dragon is actually the highest one tribute monster stat-wise, so that's cool, right? And yeah, we're just going to go from this. Hopefully you enjoy this. Let me know if you do like this kind of video so I can move on to Metal Raiders and stuff like that. So before I end the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those notifications if you want to see more. Let me know if you want to see more of this. It does let me know, to keep pumping out these kinds of videos. So yeah, bye-bye everyone. Have a great day.